and so on and so forth. And so what we have with ASEA is a supplement that mimics, it's a bioidentical redox signaling molecule that does the same thing as what we are seeing happen in the body, because these are the exact same pathways, as I said, that the body uses to functionally regulate, and both an upregulation as well as a downregulation when it's not needed, the processes of maintaining health and wellness, cellular repair, DNA repair, protein health, and so forth. Redox signaling is essentially the movement of electrons. Everything in the body is based on this micro electrical field charge, as it were, and that's all done through oxidation and reduction of the movement of electrons. Nothing really magic there. This is basic redox biochemistry, physiology. What you'll see tonight is many stories from health professionals that are using it personally, as well as recommending it to other people. And we'll be able to dip into that. So I think I would concur with Maureen. If you want more information on the science, that's readily available. You can go to redoxmatters.com. You can go to the ASEA science.com, I think is the name of the webpage. And there's much more available there for you to scratch that itch if you really need to know about how the electrons move around. With that, Maureen, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you so much, Lee. And y'all, I put Hunter Dean's video in the chat for a second time. So click on that. You can watch. He gives a great overview also, kind of gets a little bit more into the science. And like Lee said, there's loads of resources for you to learn about that. What we really want to do today is kind of introduce you to our medical board, to these incredible people. I want you to know that all of us as members of the board, we're not paid to be on this board. It's a voluntary position. And we do it because we wholeheartedly we're convicted about this company and these products and what it does for people and how it empowers people's bodies to heal themselves. So what I'd like to do is Dr. Lynn from Washington State, there you are, Dr. Lynn. He can only be on for a short period of time. So we're going to have him come on first. Dr. Lynn, welcome. We would love for you to give a little bit of your background. Also tell how you got exposed to ASEA. It's kind of an interesting story. And maybe a little bit about what you've seen and why you share it and how you share it.
All right. Yeah, so happy to be on the program. And I've learned a lot from the sharing of other medical professionals on the program. And I was exposed to ASEA about 2017, 2018. My next door neighbor, Chuck, he had many medical conditions that he eventually recovered from. But so he'd been sending me message about, hey, do you know about this redox product? And then I said, yeah. And then he would send me just another message a few weeks, a few months. So even though I did not pay close attention to it, I had been exposed to that word redox and ASEA. Now I'm an internal medicine doctor, so I finished training in 1996. So it's been 30 years that I practice in the Pacific Northwest. I also have a pharmacology degree and PhD. So I can understand some scientific literature, even though most of my work have been clinical. But ASEA or the redox it is so new to me that it was totally outside of my whatever tentacle that I have reached in my practice. Although, as you could see, that internists would see people with complex issues that I would feel like I'm helpless. And then about that time in 2018, I came across one, and that's actually related to Dr. Lee. And after a few months and seeing her suffer more and more, I said, conventional medicine basically had no answer for your issues. You're intolerant to all the medicine, and you have 3 or 4 different areas of problem that there's no real practical solution for. So I said, I've heard about this redox ASEA, so maybe it's time to just have to go Hail Mary. So fortunately, he didn't just, you know, wipe it away. He went on to a research and eventually connected with Dr. Hayes and started using. And I believe it's about 4 weeks after I talked to him, when I saw his wife, he texted me and say, "Hey, you wouldn't believe what happened to her. It's like a switch being flipped." And now, my neighbor Chuck, even though I knew he recovered from serious issues, but I wasn't monitoring that process. I didn't know whether he would have recovered anyway. But this one, Stephanie, I knew we had tried everything, and we were just seeing her slipping away. And so when Lee told me that she just had this amazing turnaround, I said, I got to know more about this and let other people know. And a few months later, I myself underwent a very serious challenge. I had to have part of my liver taken out, and not only that, but the surgery didn't go completely right. So I had a major bleeding complication afterwards. Lost at least a few pints of blood, and had to get into ICU. Had the second surgery, and a couple of organs they say were damaged. So, and at that time I was already taking the ASEA product prior to surgery and after. And so, a couple of weeks when I returned to the hospital, the surgeon said, "Wow, you recovered so well. You must have been in very good shape." I said, "No, I'm, I wasn't. I'm just an average shape, but I'm using this ASEA redox supplement that helped my body recover." So, in 2 or 3 weeks after that major surgery, and with that much complication, blood loss, I returned to pretty good functional level. I was able to lead singing in the church 2 weeks after that. That was because that happened to be Easter Sunday. So sang for 20, 30 minutes. That's just, I've seen people having that level of surgery and how long it took to recover. And even though, now a few years later, that was 2019, it's been 6, 7 years now. Every winter I get reminded. I used to have to take a few days off, and sometimes 2 or 3 times a year, because of all these bugs going around. And for the last 5 years, I haven't had to take time off because of that. So, and I yeah, I try to. Most of the people that I recommended to nowadays are outside of my clinical practice, because of these issue with the
Oh, sure.
institution that I'm employed with. Yeah. So, but I, especially in the Chinese community, I do have a lot of them introduced to that, and I do a kind of similar program to Redox 5, but in
Good to
Chinese.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, every other week or
Fantastic.
so.
We'll have to get the
So,
information on that. Dr. Lin, thank you so much. And I know that Dr. Osler, he has on realredoxresults.com. We'll put that in the chat as well, realredoxresults.com. We have over 150 short video testimonials on all sorts of stories. Dr. Lee, do you know what number yours is on there? And Dr. Lin, do you have one on there? Because I know
I
your
don't
story is
have
pretty
one
powerful.
on there yet. So
Okay.
we'll try to
We'll
schedule
find
one.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
great. Thank you so much for sharing. Now I'd like to bring on Dr. Aaron Kaufman. Dr. Kaufman, I just forgot. I was going to bring him on because he was still in practice, but he just retired. So, but it was just relatively recently. So come on. Yeah, fantastic. So you joined the rest of us who, you go into practice, but once you make it perfect, you get to retire. So come on, tell your story. Tell us a little bit about your background, how you get into.
Sure. Um, I've been in integrative family medicine in Albuquerque, New Mexico for 40 years and just retired, like Maureen said, in Halloween. Um, I was introduced to ASEA by a doctor friend. Let me think about this. It was 2011. So what is it, 15 years ago? And I was one of those heavy duty skeptics. And I spent 2 years researching before I started using the products. First, I went to PubMed.gov, the US government's website for all the peer-reviewed medical research that comes out every year, and just put in redox signaling in the search bar. And back then, in would have been 2011, there were, I think, about 6,000 articles that had to do with redox signaling. It was all research based because, as far as mainstream medicine is concerned, there's still no practical applications for this. We're the only products in the world that actually have stabilized redox signaling molecules. But I started reading abstracts to try to understand what this was. And then I looked at all this amazing independent research that ASEA had funded. And early on, it was all athletic because the son-in-law of the founder had had these amazing results. He was a high performance cyclist. And so they did all these really well done, independent, but really well done studies that, were all double blind, placebo controlled, randomized. And some of the athlete studies had washouts and crossovers and so forth. So I read all that and it was pretty amazing. And I was a runner for 46 years. So after 2 years of researching, I finally started using it. Had amazing results. I live at 7,000 feet above Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I would run up through the Cibola National Forest up to 8,000 feet and back 2, 3, 4 times a week. And within a month, I was powering up the mountain harder and faster. And within 3 months, which is a month before I turned 60, I set new personal best times for those trails that I'd been running for 16 years at that time by 20%. So that got my attention. 4 months in, I started sleeping like I hadn't slept in probably 20 years. Everybody sleeps better. One thing after another stopped hurting over the next year. So I started using it and retrospectively, hopefully you're not as thick as I am. Do the research, by all means, do the research, but don't deny yourself the experience for 2 years while you're doing it. Um, and these days I share it with, anybody who's got any issues. It's so foundational. This science is so foundational, like Lee was talking about. And you can watch the video that Maureen posted. So you understand these are literally foundational to life. They're the molecules we are producing right now of youth. And so how does it work in any condition? It youthens your cells. It turns on your cells to work more efficiently. So it quickly became foundational to every protocol I have in my clinic, no matter what organ, what issue it is, because it makes the cells work better. It makes whatever therapy, mainstream, medications, whether they're, we're doing hormone replacement or, regenerative injections, everything works better when you tune them up metabolically. So that was my intro and how I use it.
I love that. And I know you've got great stories, and y'all, you can find them on redoxmatters.com. Like I said, we have interviews with all of these leaders, all of these physicians and practitioners there. And Aaron, do you have a story on real redox results?
I
I
don't.
don't either.
I'm not worthy.
That is okay. But you guys, if you do, once you're done with your story, if you could put your video number in the chat so people could go look at it, I think that'd be fantastic. Now I'm going to bring on Dr. Rich Michaels, who I do know is still practicing. He's an internal medicine doc. Come on, Rich, and give us a little bit of your background and tell us your story.
Sure. Hey, folks. Okay. Well, thanks so much for listening in. And yeah, I'm a traditionally trained MD. Went to Duke Medical School and started a practice out of residency training and traditional family medicine without OB. Delivered 50 in my residency, did not want 51, so did not include OB in that, but developed a practice and basically doing that for many, many years. Grew the practice. The last, gosh, it's almost 6 years now. Rather than retire, foolishly decided, no, I'm just kidding. Decided that my ministry wasn't over in my community and wanted to do something different, but pull back a little bit and really take a step into a different direction, doing concierge medicine. I do that now, and I'm also doing medical aesthetics, and that'll come into the talk a little bit later on. But, absolutely incredibly busy, just traditionally trained. Really, I had no time to look at supplements. I've always believed that lifestyle was an important element in what I did, but supplements, nah, not so much. But, then life happened to me, and as it happens to everybody. But in this case, it was at the time, my 13-year-old grandson. And Gideon was flummoxed. He was suddenly afflicted in a neurologic challenge that basically put him in the hospital at my alma mater for 5 weeks. Folks, you never want to be the case that everybody wants to go see in a university training medical center, but he was that case. And when he left, he had neurologic challenges, mental cognition challenges. Life was totally different for that family. And honestly, I was a grandfather. I'm a medical doctor, and I couldn't help him either as a granddad or as a medical doctor. And I felt double impotence. That was a terrible feeling for me to have. But thankfully, God intervened in a wonderful, providential way through what I always call is the love story of ASEA, and it's the fantastic products. But honestly, you can have fantastic products, but if people are quiet about sharing that, then the story would have never gotten to him. And it's an amazing story. But honestly, he started getting better, okay? After months of languishing and so forth, they tried everything, lotions, potions, contraptions. Nothing was working. And then all of a sudden, ASEA came into their life. And it absolutely changed the picture. All of a sudden, that got my attention. So I didn't quite take the 2-year sabbatical that Aaron did, but I took several months, spent hundreds of dollars in money to buy textbooks. Felt like I was going back to medical school again because what I had heard was redox signaling molecules. Now, honestly, I came out, started practicing in '83. So I'm kind of ancient, but I was smart enough to know this thing is helping him. Traditional medicine didn't have an answer. I couldn't answer it, but this is doing something unique and life-changing. So I spent some time doing that. So I firmly became convinced. Now, I see patients now who have, they think they have great health. But many are surprised how unhealthy they really are. I literally utilize ASEA performance products. If you're wondering what I do in my practice, I love the mind, mood. These are rapidly efficacious. Love them. It integrates with my medical non-surgical aesthetics practice. We're usually utilizing magnetic therapy. I mean, all sorts of stuff to help people with major challenges. But when you can come alongside and use adjunctive therapy, it's incredible. It really is. So, renewed gel and radiance when you're dealing with aesthetics on the face, and you're trying to improve appearances and collagen, and you're really trying to jazz up what the body is actually not doing that well anymore. We can use these products. So it's absolutely wonderful to use these adjunctive therapies. But where it really meets the road for me, we detect vascular plaque early. And, there's some really sad statistics that I'll just give everybody. Over the course of this hour of this presentation, there's going to be about 45 new heart attacks and 45 new strokes in the United States that occurs during this hour. You don't want to be that. I don't want to be that statistic. So you want to find these plaques before they give you a bad day, before they destabilize. And that's really what you want to do. But how do you affect that? Well, it's a lifestyle. You control multiple factors. There's traditional ones that everybody on this call pretty much knows, right? You control your blood pressure. You look at your blood sugar. You look at cholesterol levels, and these are big things. You stop smoking if you smoke. There's multiple things you do. We have 12 to 15,000 miles of arteries. That's a big interstate system. But one thing that can affect it throughout, that's an element that is often overlooked, especially in traditional medical practices, is chronic inflammation. And more we're coming to see. And if it was mentioned by Dr. Hoffman, look at PubMed, look at Google Scholar. Put in there chronic inflammation and any kind of disorder that you can think of, any kind of medical challenge that you can think of, and just ask it, is chronic inflammation playing a role, or is it just a bystander, or is it a nothing burger? And you're going to find that chronic inflammation is a huge component. And that's what I find in my practice. So we have great alternatives. We bring in things like Zone 2 training. That's like exercise. Sorry to raise that bad word, exercise. But Zone 2, and it addresses neurohumoral issues, proper food choices. Listen, Dr. Osler, great. Flossing, simple flossing of your teeth and using some electric toothbrush, stimulate those gums, get better oral dental health, time-restricted eating, proper sleep hygiene, so important, spiritually healthy practices, many things that we bring in there. But I'm going to tell you, one of the easiest things to do, because is it hard to do exercise? Is it difficult to make proper food choices? Is it difficult to do those things? Yeah, it really is. But what's easier is to drink 6 to 8 ounces of this incredible product that ASEA has out. And it's proprietary, and it's absolutely amazing. And just to finish it up, key elements in this. It's so easy to do. You hold it in your mouth. I think one of the reasons it's so powerful is because 90% of the molecules that do all the work, that generate these cascades of just interactive pathways that are unbelievable, that absolutely will decrease chronic inflammation and address that. 90% are absorbed right here in your mouth if you hold it for 30 seconds. And that's what sets it up so strongly apart, I think, from even other wonderful supplements, because those other supplements rely on your GI absorption, and that can change so much. So again,
hey, Rich, Dr.
yes,
Rich.
ma'am. Okay.
Couple of things. Jim, we got to schedule Dr. Michael for an entire session so we can hear his really.
Be quiet,
Yeah,
be quiet.
yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
the bottom line, folks, and I'm going to shut up, but it's a hormetic lifestyle, okay? And so what I do is, it's not just ASEA, because that's just as bad as somebody saying, oh, I'm going to just take a pill and I'll be fine. But it's foundation. It is not. It's a part of a lifestyle. But I'm going to tell you, folks, don't we all like easy? Yeah, hit the easy button. So hit the easy button, include this in your overall pursuit of a great health span, and you will not be disappointed. Thanks.
I love it. Thank you for all of that. That's fantastic information. And we do need you to come on. It's been a while since we've had you on so that you can kind of talk to us about that hormetic lifestyle and getting your redoxome, as Dr. Lee Osler always says, back into balance, because it really is foundational. It is the missing link most of us have found in our practices or in our experiences. With that, I'd love to bring on Dr. Carolyn Hoffman, who is a former ballerina and also our holistic expert and nutritional expert, Dr. not Kaufman, but Hoffman.
Yeah, great to be with everybody. Yeah, my background is somewhat different, as you hinted at. I spent the first 35 years in professional ballet. I was head of a ballet department for a BEd degree and had a car accident that took that career away. And mainstream medicine wasn't able to help me. It just kept saying you'll have to live with pain for the rest of your life and deal with it. And I didn't have a life. It was actually someone else from UVA Hospital, interestingly, where I live in Charlottesville, Virginia, who introduced me to the notion of natural health approaches. And I kind of thought everybody was a little crazy because I was very much into traditional medicine and orthopedics and things like that. But my life changed as a result of beginning to integrate natural health therapies in. And after 7 years of living in a terrible way, I was in a much better place. And it drew me into natural health. Having been a teacher at a certain point, it was very natural for me to want to communicate that and help others. So that started my journey. I'm a traditional naturopath. I became very passionate about digestive health and brain function. I had a traumatic brain injury, which I rehabbed, and as a part of it, I retrained to do QEEG neurointegration. So I was already pulling together the gut-brain axis. I've had a number of practices, and I was introduced to the field of redox, not that anyone was really talking about that, because I was working on nitric oxide testing, measuring levels, rebuilding nitric oxide for cardiovascular patients. Then I got super excited with NRF2 pathway, which is, something that we very much focus on. But at that time, nobody was really talking about it. But I got so excited because I was thinking, wow, if you can kind of key code into every cell and turn on the cell's ability to address inflammation at the site, this is like the Holy Grail. So this had me going. And at that time, this is back in 2011, someone showed me ASEA, but I wasn't smart enough to pay attention because I was busy doing what I was doing. And at that time, as many of us would know, there wasn't a lot of published work that ASEA had yet gathered that they were sharing. So people weren't really sharing a lot of information about it. I dismissed it. Come around again to 2017, and I had somebody different who shared it with me. But what they actually got my attention with was our Renew 28, the topical application that we'd had from 2014. Same contents of ASEA redox, except now an application that you can put on the body, which we've been using until last year with the development of our latest product, the Redox Gold, which targets the inflammatory genetic pathway. But we've been using it for things that hurt and doing successfully for that. I went to an event, thanks to Dr. David Silverman, who turned up in my hometown to do a presentation. And I was curious. I wasn't originally interested per se, but my husband injured himself a little bit, and I kind of said, oh, I've got one of these little sample tubes of the Renew 28. You can be my guinea pig. So I followed the instructions, used it on him. He got a benefit in under 10 minutes, and it got my attention. And so I was curious. I wanted to learn. Went to an event to learn more about it. Dr. Silverman knows that I sat way at the back and kind of huddled down because I didn't want anyone to talk to me about the fact that there was possibly a business proposition in this. So I wasn't interested. I was there for the health things. I probably have a slightly different mindset on products. A lot of people like Aaron will go through 2 years of doing the research before moving forward on that. To me, I already knew from having been in this field for 25 years that metabolically we all behave very differently when it comes to physical supplements that we ingest and we have to digest and break down, and you cannot guarantee that everybody has the same outcome. So I'm always willing to say, let me look at this. If it makes common sense, let's try it out on people and let them tell me what did they experience, because I just know that, you know, everyone's going to have a different journey. So I was convinced when I saw a lot of people getting benefit from this gel and took it back to my practice. And everybody that came in who had anything that hurt, I just said, I want to try this out, give me feedback. And so those of you who use this know well, right, how quick things that don't work too well, range of motion, discomfort, but of course we do it quicker with the gold. I knew there was something there, but I guess the kicker was in my skip about what to do with the liquid. I just sold my part of my functional medicine practice to my partner, and I was rebuilding, doing something on my own, and I didn't want to stock products. And so I was kind of hesitant about the blue bottle because we'd had thousands of dollars worth of products on our shelves in my other practice, and I wasn't going to invest. But I had some cases of it. I tossed it at my husband. And my husband had suffered for 22 years of not being able to exercise and breathe adequately. I tried everything in that 22 years. Believe me, I'd researched, I tried everything. We'd never really kind of made a huge dent. But in 2 weeks, his whole life turned around. And he was up and doing all sorts of things that he hadn't been able to do. He wasn't needing his inhalers. He used to have about 3 911s a year when things weren't under control. And since 2017, he's had one episode, and that wasn't because it was because he was in an environment that was heavily polluted, and it caused some challenges with him. So we've had 8 years of him not needing that kind of support. That caught my attention, and I said, okay, why does this one thing make such a huge difference after all the things we've tried? And so I started digging into those books. I did start reading them. And then I'm thinking, I wonder if this is the missing link, right? Because this is not the physical things that we have to ingest and break down and digest and all the challenges that go with that. But it is what we talk about, right? This fundamental cell signaling system and energy at a cell that no matter, if you don't have that, you can throw all of the supplements you want in yourself, but you're really creating a large amount of toxicity and a burden to the system because it really can't use them. And so I started reading the books thinking, I wonder if this is the missing link. And I had been referred a client. I hadn't yet seen her. She'd had 3 independent experiences with autoimmune challenges that we often get from animals that live in Virginia. Had been very sick, everything you could possibly imagine, had been trying to recover her life. And I thought, I wonder if this is the thing that will pull everything together for her and push her through that barrier. And I just called her and I said, you know what? Don't ask me to explain this. I'm still scratching my brain around this whole area. I said, but it's nothing you've ever done before because it's not a vitamin, mineral, all those things I said. And if it does what I think, it just may be the thing that pushes you through and gets you where you want to get to. I said, but it's up to you what you do if you want to try it. But I said, I think you should try it for 3 months before you even see me and see. She decided that that's what she wanted to do. And within 30 days, this woman had had a 90% shift in her health. And I knew for the second time, I got something so very rare here, which super excited me. And it also excited me as a practitioner because this is delivered in 35 countries for all of the rest of my time. So now it expanded out to people all over the world, which really meant I could have this huge business practice of helping and supporting people around the world without having to move. And I couldn't possibly help all those people on a one-on-one basis. And so that's really been the development for me. I'm still, kind of in practice. I really help those I love. I'll work with those that I love, but I don't see people all the time in that way because I don't need to, and I can really have a much bigger impact for any challenge because we're right down at the root level of every cell.
I love that. Carolyn, that was fantastic. And you bring up a really good point, because people might get the idea, seeing all of these health professionals here, that you need to be a health professional or a scientist in order to understand this or to share it. But no, you just have to care about other people, care enough to open up your mouth and tell them about it, because it does sound, when I was first exposed to it, it sounded a little sketchy, salt water from Salt Lake City, but 13 years later, I'm still blown away by what I experienced. The next person I'd like to bring up is Dr. Dick Walker from Washington State. I love Dr. Walker's story. He is just fairly recently retired from ER. He has also climbed Everest, and I'm a big fan of Everest, Expedition Everest at Disney World, but he's gone to the real one. So Dr. Dick, come on, tell us your background, tell us your story. You're muted, Dick.
You're muted, Dick.
Still muted.
Well, I had trouble getting on tonight because I'm getting old with technology. But anyway, Dr. Hoffman, you're by far not the oldest person on this call. I am. So full disclosure, I'm 77 years old. I discovered ASEA when I was 64, I think. And the only reason why almost everybody in this country is not on ASEA Redox is because it's not a prescription. Because if doctors were presented with this as the latest, greatest new prescription out there to control inflammation, to limit stress, to do all of the things that this does, they would have at first thought, gee, this drug company that's bringing this to us, how could they make those claims? Because that doesn't sound like it'd be possible. And yet it is, and this isn't a drug. And so you can get this at a much better price point than you would be able to if it came to you at the end of or on a prescription pad, or now it's just a phone call or an e-message to the pharmacy. They don't even use prescription pads anymore. But this is everybody on this call and everybody that's drinking ASEA is on, I think, the most exciting youthening experience that they could undertake. And that's a great word, and I'd never heard it before. So thank you, Aaron, for talking about youthening. That so appropriately describes what happens to your body when you start to consume ASEA Redox on a consistent, regular basis, because that's exactly what happens to your body. Because we now know, and some of our most recent research gets right down to the cause of aging, the cause of why our body deteriorates over time, and that's inflammation. And all of us on this call have been pretty certain for a long time that ASEA actually was very instrumental in putting the dampers on that process. And now we have a study that proves that we were right. And even better, it shows that it takes 3 or 4 months for that to happen. The dramatic 89% drop in lab markers, IL-6, which measures inflammation throughout your body. For most people in that study, it took 3 to 4 months, which is about the time when we often see these dramatic experiences that people have. Yeah, we hear about the stuff that happens in a week or two, the amazing things. I took 2 swallows and everything was great. That doesn't happen very often, but it does happen often if people will stick with this long enough, take it consistently, stay with it. Don't get impatient. This isn't like a prescription that takes your pain away overnight or in an hour or two and then wears off. And the next thing you know, 6 years later, you're still having to take it. 6 years later, you will still be having to take ASEA because you'll be so amazed at how good you feel and how young you are, letting your body do what it needs to and knows how to do to keep you healthy, keep you young, keep you vital. But I was first looking at this. I had seen the concept of redox biology. My background is I'm an internal medicine doctor by training. I also took a sabbatical out of medical school and got a master's degree in preventive medicine and nutrition. Everybody else thought I was crazy. Why are you waiting so long before you can get out there and practice medicine? I just said, I just want to learn more about how to keep people healthy. And and that has really served me well. But I bumped into this whole concept of redox biology probably a year or two before I even knew that ASEA existed, was fascinated by it. And then I happened to mention it to a man by the name of Jarrett White. And I said, have you ever heard of redox? And he said, yeah, I'm going down to look at a company down in Salt Lake in a week or two that says they're making a redox signaling product. And I said, buy me a ticket. I'll go down there with you because this is exciting. And it has been very exciting ever since. I came home with a couple of bottles of redox in my luggage and have been taking it ever since. But, it's just a phenomenally important ingredient for the foundation of your health. And yes, exercise, sleep, all of those lifestyle things, which I've been doing for years and wondering if there wasn't something else that could help that out. And the ASEA is that it augments all of the benefits of those. It is a biohack, but you don't want to just drink ASEA. You do want to exercise. You do want to eat right. You do want to make sure that you give your body enough rest so that it can recover. But you're going to get much more benefit out of living a healthy lifestyle if you also drink 8 ounces of ASEA a day. Because it just helps the body do its job of keeping you healthy much better with extra redox signaling molecules than it can do without them. The topical products are a wonderful, wonderful addition to what we have. I just can't say enough about how important it is to decrease the effects of stress on your body. You cannot avoid stress. And I'm not just talking about emotional stress. Yeah, we all have that, some of us more than others. But we also have, if you look up stress on PubMed or whatever, I think the medical people recognize 8 or 9 different major areas of stress that your body has to deal with. You can't avoid dealing with it. You can either deal with those things effectively with effective redox signaling at the cellular level, or you can let those things ravage your body over time, cause major inflammation, and cause you to live a much shorter and much more unhealthy life than you could if you augmented your redox signaling. I just heard today that the oldest woman in North America just passed away. She was a lobsterman or a lobster woman, I guess, up in Maine. And if you know anything about what those fishermen do, it's a hard life. It's a really hard life. They're dragging 100-pound lobster pots up from the bottom of the ocean. And if there's 50 pounds of lobster in there, it's 150 pounds. I mean, this is a woman doing that. She died at 107. And she lived a very, very hard but healthy life. I guess she was a real character. And then I heard shortly after that, I listened to public radio, and they said that the average age at death in the United States has gone up a teeny bit at 79. But we don't have anything to brag about because we're like number 15th in the world for life expectancy, because a lot of people don't live the kind of lifestyle that they need to live to live a healthy life. And it's not just about getting older, but it's getting older and being functional and being able to enjoy your grandkids and be able to get out there and hike or do whatever it is that you enjoy. In fact, when I was first looking at ASEA, I was looking at something that would allow me to continue to do things like climb Mount Everest and raft the Salmon River and that kind of thing. And, my body was starting to tell me I couldn't do that anymore. And I didn't like that answer. And so I was looking for a solution. And like Aaron, I noticed that all of the physical things and the parameters that I was used to being limited by started to expand, and I started to be able to do things that I hadn't been able to do for years. And I found a solution to my wife's, aches, and she had some condition that would cause her to hurt all over and have chronic fatigue, and nothing that I recommended or any other medicine doctor or alternative doctor that she went to could find a solution for. And guess where the solution came from? It came in that blue bottle. So this is amazing stuff. And if you're not on it, you should be. And if you have friends and family that aren't on it, they should be on it too, because if they give this long enough and take it regularly, a couple times a day, they're going to see phenomenal results. But it doesn't happen overnight for most of us. Take some time. Give it some time and combine that with some sensible lifestyle things, and you will be amazed at what happens. So I'm going to quit talking and let
Thank
somebody
you,
else
Dick.
talk.
I appreciate it. And also, Dr. Dick Walker, you can hear more from him. He answers frequently asked questions on the redoxguide.com. So check that out. There's been some questions about the best time to use it, different interactions and all. Those questions are answered at redoxguide.com. I'll put it in.
And I'm number 67 in Real Redox results if you're interested in that.
Fantastic. Thank you. Next, I'm going to bring on Dr. David Silverman. David, I'd also, I want you to give a little background, tell us your story, but also tell us why you share ASEA. I think that's so important and you do it
Good
so
to be
well.
here. And Dick Walker, Dr. Walker, I always call you our favorite oxymoron. We're emergency medicine, board certified emergency medicine, and a master's in preventative health. I mean, that is like jumbo shrimp. That's like the opposite. But we've all learned together in this. And my background is podiatry and foot surgery in the Washington, D.C. area. I had my own practice and surgery center. I was board certified in foot surgery and very traditionally trained. And I will tell you that this was brought to me by a friend, a dear friend in December of 2010, Debbie. And there were no really fast ways to prove to people it's real. Now we have the gels. Anybody that wants to know it's real, they go find 10 people that are hurting, joints, back, whatever, and they just use the gels properly. Within 10 minutes, 9 out of 10 people say, what just happened to me? We didn't have the gel back then. We only had the drink, which is the more important product. But I will tell you, most people, and my dad was ill when my friend brought it to me. She didn't know that. So I always say, don't just look for ill people, because everybody you know has either got something or loves somebody that's got something. And my dad was diagnosed with something that no one wants to hear they have in any part of their body, or anybody they love, whether it's their prostate or their lung or their liver or their breast. So I took it seriously to investigate something that on the surface sounds too good to be true. We would know about it. How could it be made from salt and water? Kind of like the way doctors of the day laughed at penicillin in 1928 when it was developed, and then it wasn't accepted until World War II. People, ha, 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 bread mold, ha, 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 because they didn't understand it. The doctors weren't stupid. They're just ignorant as hell. And most people don't realize that they're ignorant. I know I'm ignorant. I'm ignorant about almost everything in the world, but at least I know.
Arrogant.
Yeah. So, well, I'll tell you that everybody is stunned by this when they have the results. When they see what it does, they're stunned. Doctors are not only stunned, we're something else. We were all humbled. We were all humbled by what we discovered, that this exists, and we weren't taught about it. We don't know about it. And people ha ho, hoo, he, it's just some kind of joke. This is the biggest breakthrough in the history of mankind. And I've been doing this for 15 years, and people say, anybody has used this on 10 people for 90 days knows that I'm saying is true. But anybody that hasn't is saying that's a big statement. Well, you know what? Take the time to see. The reason I share it is because, number one, it works. It's very easy to validate it works, and it can't hurt anybody. When I would write prescriptions, somebody could be allergic to it. I could kill them. You can't be allergic to this. It's in everybody, right? In fact, it's safer than foods. You give peanuts to the wrong person, you'll kill them, or shellfish, you'll kill them. You can't kill anybody with this because it's in every person. There's 8.3 billion people on the planet and animals. My dog drinks it every day. She's 9.5, like a puppy, jumping off the bed everywhere. I'm a puppy. I'm 65. I feel like I'm 30. I don't take any meds. People say, well, you have good genes. Really? Well, my parents were taking meds at 65. My grandparents were, all that. But it's safe. It can't hurt. Can't be allergic to it. Does not interfere with medicines because it's in you. And there's no toxicity to it. Every medicine is a poison, and the public doesn't realize that. They don't realize that every medicine is poison. I think 15 or 20 Tylenol would kill any person here. 15 to 20 Tylenol will kill anybody here. Because that's why there are dosages on medicines. There's no dosage on this. You know, I drink 8 ounces a day. Most people drink 6. When I had that nasty virus running around, I was drinking the whole bottle every day. I was inhaling it through a nebulizer. I have a family member, about to be family member, 29 years old, diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. Stage 4 colon cancer, 29 years old. And let me tell you, they're covering up how bad cancer is now. All of a sudden, it's really spiking. And I think we all know why it's spiking. But he's been drinking a bottle a day, the whole bottle, 32 ounces every day since May, and seeing some really amazing, amazing things. So it can't hurt anybody, and it comes with a money back guarantee. I think, Dr. So the reason I share it, and I think we all do, is out of obligation. I mean, yes, there's a business opportunity here. Yes, you can make money. Yes, you can get your product paid for because the company spends no money on advertising. They pay us because they know we feel obligated to share it with people. Before I got involved with the business, I was referring people to my friend Debbie. And then I finally, as all these people kept coming back to me saying, this is incredible, skin lesions falling off of them. So I knew it wasn't a placebo. And then I did a good due diligence on the company. I said, can I put my reputation on the line with a network marketing, multi-level marketing company? I didn't realize it was really a biotech company that had the breakthrough for humanity. So when you say, why do I share it? I share it out of obligation. And if someone says they don't believe me, I'm telling you, I pray that they have something in their body that hurts them. Because I always have the big ones or the little ones in my pocket, right? When I go to the beach in my bathing suit, I only take the little ones. I don't take the big ones. But I have them because I can make a believer out of 9 out of 10 people within minutes. And they can be open-minded people or closed-minded. The greatest doctor at Sloan Kettering or Mayo Clinic saying, where are the studies? Where are the studies? Well, I'll say, well, what do you want studies for? You want to see if it's real? Why don't you put this on 10 people with pain, and then you're gonna investigate it, not to see if it's legitimate. You'll investigate it to see why did it do what it did, and why weren't you taught about it? So I'd say obligation is the biggest reason.
I love that,
Hayes.
Dr. Silverman. Thank you so much. You're going to get us in trouble, though. Let me do a disclaimer. This is not a medical product. We're not here to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent anything. What these molecules do is they enable your body to work at its best. They optimize your cells so that they can do the job, and your body is miraculous and divine and has the innate wisdom to heal itself. So we recommend that anybody, especially with a big challenge, uses these products. But
let me add to that because I was not making any claims. This doesn't cure or heal anything. The mechanism is signaling. It amplifies signaling. Children have a lot more of it. We produce less as we get older. The signaling goes down, so your body's healing systems cannot hear that there's a problem. It's like trying to call 911 if you don't have signal. You know, the phone doesn't heal the person who's having a heart attack. The emergency services do, but if the signal doesn't work, they're not coming. So I'll reiterate it. Doesn't heal or cure a single thing. Your body does it.
absolutely. Thank you. And that was beautiful. And prayers for your soon-to-be new family member.
Thank you.
Was posted on that. Okay, we just have a few minutes. We're going to go ahead. I know I always yell at Jim because I like to have a hard stop right at 8 p.m., right at an hour. But we have to have our favorite redhead come in to close us out. Donna Lynn Dominguez, if you will, Business Builder of the Year last year. Incredible story. Come on, give us a little bit about your background. Tell us, how you got introduced, why you share it. Close it out for us.
Thank you, Maureen. Hi, everyone. My background is I'm a midwife. I practiced for 16 years. I actually gave up my license just this year and retired about 4 years ago from my birth center I owned, and I was very busy there. But during that time, I got a bad diagnosis and was terminally ill. After 2.5 years of surgeries and harsh medical treatments and $20,000 worth of alternatives, redox found me. My nutritionist told me that it would make me feel better and signed me up, ordered it for me, and sent me home with a bottle. And when I tasted it, I went, I'm not drinking that stuff. It tastes like a swimming pool. So I wasn't open to talking to anybody about it. I didn't feel well ever. And so I went 7 months, and because of a very tenacious person in my upline that continued to reach out to me and encourage me to take a look at this, finally, from May, when she ordered the product for me, to December, in December, I answered the phone, and Mr. Jim Glenn asked me how I was, and I told him I'm not doing well. I'm not sure why I told him the truth, but I'm not sure why I answered the phone either. So, but from that day on, I began to drink it, not because I believed what he was telling me. I was so skeptical. I had tried $20,000 worth of alternatives. I was just drinking it because I had 7 cases stacked up, and I didn't want to throw it away. So, and using the gel on the knee that had had surgery and was not healing properly. So I did that for about 3 weeks and got amazing results. I'm sure because I had been doing so many right things, but my cells weren't getting the signal. So like Ellen says, when your cells aren't signaling, nothing else matters. When that began to happen, I began to get better. And I was so excited about my results that I told everyone, including all of my clients, and they saw a difference. And if their mothers were with them, I told them. I was excited to share my miracle. And because I did, many of them tried it. I didn't have time to go through the science. I encouraged them that it's all there, and I still do that. The science is there. We're not on trial. This is a 16-year-old company. We have a proven product and reputation. So that's all taken care of for us. Just letting people know that there really is something out there that works, that does what our body knows how to heal itself. I began to offer it to my clients, and the ones of them that took it had the best pregnancies of all the girls I've delivered, and that's over 1,000. I kept very close records on the results they were having, and really that's probably the reason that I am on the medical professional board. Dr. Rich doesn't like to do babies. I do. So I'm glad he doesn't. But anyway, we had great results with the girls, and that has been interesting to, we can't really claim it, but we did prove it. So that's good. And since then, I share with people because, like we talked about just a minute ago, I feel obligated. I got my life back. And I promised God the night that I realized something was changing, that if he was using this to help my body heal, I'd tell everybody. And I have tried very hard to do that now for 8 years. And so if you're within speaking distance, I'll probably tell you about redox unless you tell me not to. So that's it.
Wow, Donalyn, that was fantastic. You guys, it's only 8:03. That was just wonderful to get this many stories in and just tidbits. So you're hearing so much. We love everybody on this board. All of these people are incredible leaders, have shared it and have had incredible success with the company, because as you get out there and you're enthusiastically sharing it, you're convicted with what this can do for people and their health. You can't help, like Donalyn said, to tell people about it, and that helps us to grow. And so we're always looking for more people to help us get the word out, because it's still the best kept secret, as powerful as it is. So you guys, we kept you a couple of minutes afterwards.
Maureen, could
We
you
have to
please
peep
could you
at it.
please share the ripple effect, please, as far as why people need to share this?
Absolutely, because it's what we're all doing and what we're all part of. You guys, especially for physicians, we can only see so many people as practitioners, so many people in a day's time. We're limited by the hours in a day. But when you join a company like this, you're like a pebble, a little stone in a pond, and you hit that stone and you have a ripple that goes out and it expands and expands and expands, because every time we educate somebody about these products and what they can do, that person can turn around and they can share it with the people they love and care about, who can share it with others. Just like Dr. Silverman said, you may not be one of us knows somebody who is dealing with something, and those numbers seem to be increasing, as he mentioned as well. You guys, don't be a secret agent. Let people know about this. Let them make the decision for themselves. It is 100% non-toxic, cannot hurt you, and may be the answer to prayer. So thank you guys. Thank you for staying with us
Yeah,
all night. Jim, do you
I
mind
just want to
telling
add
us
one thing too. Again, I'm not Dr. Ames Nutrition, but I'm an ex-financial advisor, an ex-stockbroker who was in a bad place financially 10 and a half years ago. And because my best friend shared this with me, I immediately saw the opportunity. So guys, we are kind of going to make a little bit of a shift in what we do. We're going to have Alan Noble will be doing the show next Thursday, but then we're going to have Alan Noble back with us the following week, sharing his story as why he is doing this as a business. Then the second Redox 5 that we do will be like this. It will be with the Dr. Rich or Dr. Aaron or Dick or David or Donalyn. So please come back. Realize this is a gift. Everybody deserves to hear about it. If you know anyone praying for a health or a financial miracle, you owe it to them, per what all these beautiful medical experts have shared with you tonight. So please come back and join Alan Noble.
I just
go ahead,
want to
David.
add one thing, because you touched on that ripple effect, and what Maureen said is true. As practitioners, we can only help so many people. The power of this is I can teach a cab driver to help 1 million people, literally. And people say, well, I don't know 1 million people. But the power of this is if everybody on here, there's 500 people on here. If every person went out and made aware of this 10 people, well, that's each person did 10, that's 5,000 people, the more know. But the one person that told 10, and then those 10 each tell 10, that's 100. Those 100 tell 10, that's 1,000. Then it's 10,000. Then it's 100,000. Then it's 1 million. That's the power of this. And people that this resonates with, and they kind of see the vision of, wow, you can make a big difference and do very well financially without concentrating on making money. I mean, I don't have to do this anymore. I do it because I love it. It's an obligation, and it is so invigorating and fun, waking people up out of their slumber, like waking them up to realize they can take control of their health and their life finances. So I just wanted to piggyback on what you said about the pebble in the rock and the pebble in the pool and the pond, Maureen, because that's what we do. The pebble goes to the bottom, the ripples keep going out, and it spreads around the world.
And we keep dropping those pebbles in, right?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the company pays you for all those ripples too. That's kind of nice too, because they don't spend any advertising.
Well, and instead of making Big Pharma richer, instead of making Jeff Bezos, instead of making the Waltons, they don't need any more money. How about give it to people that will make a difference in the world? We will. And you deserve to do it as well. So with that, Maureen.
Real quick, Jim's story at Real Redox Results is number 19, and Donalyn, you're 13, right?
You have two. You have 15, and then you have another one.
She's got one regarding midwifery, and then one with her personal story.
Okay.
39. All right.
And I don't have one.
Everybody, you're awesome.
We had a blast. This recording will be up.